So did a quick left, right, left check there. There was a guy on the left that was fully stopped, so I felt pretty comfortable about pulling out. Okay. You should know how to calculate your following distance on the second drive. I'm going to expect you to know how to calculate your following distance, okay? You should know when you are legally required to use turn signals and how to calculate following distance. Okay, those are the only two things that you should know how to do, okay? Because following distance is the granddaddy of all defensive driving. You cannot be a defensive driver if you do not have following distance. And 99% of drivers do not have enough following distance. So, it's important that you understand it, because I'm going to keep talking about it over and over and over and over again. I'm going to keep talking about following distance, following distance, following distance. Okay. Now, when it comes to turn signals, I want you to learn when you are legally required to use turn signals, because I'll be honest, I get a little tired of reminding students to put on turn signals, especially when I'm pulling off to the side of the road or pulling back onto a road. It gets real tedious to keep saying use a turn signal, use a turn signal, use a turn signal. Okay, it just I wish I had more patience with it, but I am human, and it just kind of starts to bug me after a while, especially if it's the 4th, 5th drive, 6th, or even 7th drive where I'm continuously telling you to put on turn signals. Okay, we're turning left here. Again, I don't mind if you hit these yellow lines and go in early, get out of the flow of traffic, early smooth braking. That light could change, that's a green arrow. I have the right of way. See, it changed quickly, they usually always do. And I'm stopping, I'm in far left lane position, I'm stopping where I can see the line. Again, we'll talk about this more on the next drive. Now, there's nobody in back of me. That was a good time to go to a fast left turn. Nobody in back of me though, so I'm not going to rush it. And that's how I'm going to be with you. You know, I'm not going to put you into a very stressful, dangerous position. Now I am creeping on out, and now I'm going to go ahead and do it. And again, we'll talk more about this later. Remember, you're turning first available lane, so when you're doing that left turn, try to immediately try to find the yellow. The yellow is the separation. If there's two yellow lines like this center turn lane here, if there's two yellow lines like this center turn lane here, you know, just go to the far yellow line and use that, and that's where you'll go. So that's kind of where you're aiming when you do that left turn there. And if you have time to look down your path of travel before the turn, then go ahead and do it. Boise City cop in back of me, solid black car, no lights on, no daytime lights in this kind of weather. And somebody will pull out in front of him, and he'll get all upset, and he might even give the person a ticket. And in reality, the person pulled out because they simply just didn't see him. I've talked to many Boise City cops, and they all say, well, we don't put on any lights because we want to stay hidden so we can catch people. And it's very sad that they think that way, that they can say, okay, I want to catch people speeding and at the same time increase the chance of a collision. Anyways, so we're going down to Eagle Road. And I'm going to turn right here on Eagle Road. So I'm going to put on a right signal. If you're not sure which lane turns right, just get into the lane closest to the curb. Try to remember that. Turning right, not sure which lane, get in the lane closest to the curb. I'm in far left position. Nice smooth braking. Had the right of way there. Now, some things can change based upon the speed of the road or who's in back of you. But in general, when you're doing a right turn on green, you can take it pretty slow. Now, not super slow. You'll get the hang of it. It'll be tough at first. You might do a right turn on green too slow, then too fast. But be patient. Over time, you'll start to get an idea of what I'm looking for when it comes to right turns on green. Early smooth braking. And as you can see, just a little bit early smooth braking. Now, if I would have turboed up and then hit the brake hard, and that's how most people do it. But I did early smooth braking, and as you can see, I didn't even need to stop. Better for my brakes, better for my gas mileage. So we're on Eagle, and at this traffic light up here, we will be turning right. So right about in here, I'm going to put on a right signal. We'll talk about, there's one major drawback to the early signal. Now, I don't know if you can sense my early braking there. Again, it's just gentle presses. On and off the brake a little bit, feeling it out. Okay, I'm in far left lane position. When I turn right here on this street, I want to try to go in the first available lane. If you go a little wide over the white dashes, don't stress out over it. Okay? Now, it says 25 here, but trust me, if you do this at 25, it's going to be challenging. So you can easily go 20. This is where you're concentrating on your steering, keeping it between the lines. Now, on a left turn like this, it's easy to look at the white dashes. But if you look at the white dashes too long, you'll start driving over them. Just as if you look at the curb too long. So you can look at the white dashes for a couple of seconds and then up. If you want to look at the curb on the right, you can, but it's only for a few seconds. You generally will drive where you're looking. So right here, if I start staring at that right curb, okay, now at first it's okay to look at it for a little bit, but you don't want to totally stare at it, because then you'll start drifting in. So you'll start drifting in like this, right up next to the curb. Okay, if you start staring at these white dashes for too long, you're going to start driving over the white dashes. So you can look at them a little bit more, but you do want to kind of move your eyes a little bit, because in general, and keep in mind, it's just in general, people drive where they look. So if you look into a particular area too long, you usually will drive in that area. Now, you can override it. You know, I'm not saying that it's with everybody. You can override it with proper training, and you keep practicing and keep the discipline. You can override it and be able to look at the curb a little bit more. And of course, the ultimate in driving is not looking at the curb at all. Is your peripheral vision is advanced enough that you can do a curve without even looking at the curb itself. Okay, so anyways, I know I'm talking a lot here. So basically, when you're going around a curb or a curve or whatever, it's okay to, like here, see, there's a left curve here. As you can see, there's a left curve here. If I went around this left curve looking all the way down the road, then I'm probably going to cut this corner. Or if I look at the left curb. Now, if I went around this curve and there happened to be white dashes on here, that would be a little safer. I could look at the white dashes. But then again, you got to be a little careful with even looking at the white dashes, because you generally will drive where you look. So maybe 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, and then you should move your eyes. So if it's a right curve and I'm going around to the right, it is okay to look at the curb on the right. But if you keep staring at it, you could end up inadvertently driving into it. Now again, that's not everybody. But for a lot of people, that's how it goes. So it's okay to look at the curb for 2, maybe 3 seconds to get an idea of it, but then you should move your eyes a little further down the road. But again, the ultimate goal is to be able to do these curves without even looking at the dashes or the curb itself. And again, that comes with practice, peripheral vision driving, and we will do a little bit of that. I will challenge you with that. I'll have you go around curves looking further down the road, and I'll tell you where to look. On the 4th drive, it's a very good neighborhood where I show you what exactly advanced driving feels like. And you'll notice that advanced driving, you're actually not really looking at the road itself. You're looking at it, but you're looking further down the road, and your eyes are moving left, right, and you'll definitely get an idea of what true advanced driving is. Now again, you can't do that if you're speeding. If you're speeding, you naturally have to look more at the road. If you are tailgating, you're going to be staring at the guy in front of you. And of course, if you are texting or looking at your GPS, then obviously your eyes are not on the road. So anyways, yeah, speeding, texting, tailgating, the big three that everybody's guilty of. Most people are guilty of one of them, and so most people, no matter what they say, are not an advanced driver, okay? Because usually they're guilty of one of those things. Okay, so we're going to pull off to the side of the road right here. Overland Road is down the road. This is where I'm going to talk about lane changes for about 15 minutes. And real quick on lane changes. For one, on all the drives, 99% of the time, we need to have our speed up. When you pull out onto a road, try to get your speed up to either the flow of traffic speed, if there is traffic, or 2, get your speed up to the speed limit. So if there is lots of cars around, we're going to get our speed up to the flow of traffic. Whatever that speed is, doesn't really matter. It's the flow of traffic speed. If there is nobody on the road, then yes, we're going to try to keep it around the speed limit. But it's important that we try to get up to whatever speed that is, the flow of traffic or the speed limit, because I might be planning on you doing a lane change. So it's important to try to get that speed up, because you may not know that in 1,000 feet I'm going to have you turn left, which means in 1,000 feet we got to do a left lane change. And usually to do a lane change properly, we're going to need a minimum of 300 feet. We're going to need a minimum of a football field worth of distance. So you could pull out onto a road, and in 1,000 feet I'm going to have you turn left, which means in 1,000 feet you got to get in the left lane. But if you pull out on the road and you're just putting along, it's going to add a whole lot of stress to the drive. Stress to me, stress to you. So it's important to know to when you pull out onto a road that you kind of get up to speed. Not flat out turbo it, but you get up to speed. Because when you're taking directions from mom or dad, you may not know where they're going to have you go. Okay, so and doing a lane change is almost like merging. It's better to have speed if you need it than need it and not have it. So anyways, we're going to pull off here, talk about it, talk about the lane change technique, and then we're going to go out to Overland and head on back to Chuck-A-Rama. So left signal, I'm checking all my mirrors, and I'm going to do a little quick over-the-shoulder glance. Things look good, and I'm going to merge on in. Good. I don't need to get it ready to launch there. I pretty much am. And you got to think of that as a merge. So you pull out with just a little bit of speed. Right signal, we're turning right on Overland. As you can see, it's a nice wide outlet here. So right now I'm about 12 feet from the curb. The line is about 10 feet in front of me. Pedestrian check, looks good. Keeping my foot gently resting on the brake. I'm going to test the waters, get it ready to launch. Okay, I'm waiting for some cars to go by. When you pull out here, we're going to make sure it's totally wide open so we can practice lane changes when it's wide open. While I'm waiting on the cars on the left, I'm going to look down my path of travel on the right. And that's when you can look down, see if there's any issues down the roadway, constructions, cops pull people over, speed limit signs, lanes ending. Whenever you're stopped and you have a few extra seconds and you're turning right or left, try to take advantage of those few extra seconds and look down your path of travel and see if there's going to be any issues. Okay, so I'm going to inch it out a little bit more, ready to launch, and I am launching. And as you can see, it's pretty decent acceleration. I'm getting on up to about 40. And I'm going to walk you through the steps. So I'm going to say left signal, rear view mirror, left over the shoulder, and path to travel check looks good. Keeping my speed up. I know it's challenging, it's going to be hard. Keep your speed up. Now I'm going to get back in the right lane. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the right signal, rear view mirror right over the shoulder, and path of travel. I'm looking at these ultimate guys. See these people on the right here. Now my signal in a perfect world would hold those people back so they don't pull out, but they could still maybe not see my signal or not care. That's why I'm doing a path of travel check. The very last check is the zone that you're going into to see if anybody's pulling out, any issues, construction, cops, lanes ending, whatever. And basically we've done our 2 lane changes there, and if we have the opportunity to do a couple more lane changes here on Overland, we will. And again, pretty much just keep it in center lane position. If you want to be in left lane position, that's fine. I might ask you why you're in left lane position or right lane position. Again, that's totally fine. We can have a good discussion about potential risks. But if you want to try to stay in center lane position, that's fine. And probably the bigger thing besides lane position is just speed control. Okay, because you got to have speed control before you can do lane changes, and we got to be able to do lane changes before we can do the freeway. So a lot rests upon speed control, acceleration, and keeping a good speed. Now you may find it tough to keep a consistent speed, and that is totally natural. Don't worry too much about that. We will have other drives where we will work on it. I have really cool exercises that we'll do to help you keep a consistent speed. I'll give you a little tip. When it comes to keeping a consistent speed. Once you are at the speed you want, quit looking at your speed. If you are at the speed you like, the speed that you want to have, don't look at your speedometer. Look around. Okay? Look at these dashes. These dashes on the road are all equal distance from each other. So you can develop a rhythm. The sound of the road, the sound of the car, the rhythm of the dashes, your surroundings. I have loud tires in this car, and so you might get used to the hum of the tires on the road. So it's amazing that students actually keep a better consistent speed not looking at their speedometer. When they start looking at their speedometer, then their speed immediately fluctuates. It's pretty funny. So there's a quick tip for you that actually the less you look at the speed, the better in keeping a consistent speed. Now at first, again, you can look at your speed as much as you want, but in general, as you get better, you should not be looking at your speed, because again, every time you look at your speed, you're taking your eyes off the road. Okay, speed is definitely important, but it's not the most important factor on a road. Following distance, space management is more important than speed. Okay, especially when there's other cars on the road. Now, if there are no other cars on the road, you're out by yourself on a road, then space management is not that big a deal, because you don't need to work on space with other vehicles if there are no other vehicles. Then obviously speed is very important in that situation. But on the majority of roads, there's going to be other cars or other vehicles on the road, which means space management. Okay. Now I'm on Overland here, and if you start to get really stretched out from other vehicles, then yeah, you can say, okay, I don't really have to worry about spacing. There's not a whole lot of people around me. Then yeah, then speed's important. But for the most part, space management is the most important thing. And space management is following distance, staggered lane position, and lane position adjustment. Staggered position, let me say it again. Following distance, staggered positioning, which means you do not want to be next to another vehicle. You certainly don't want to be in their blind spot, but you don't want to be next to another vehicle. And lane position adjustment. Adjusting those three things will make you a much more advanced driver, and that's space management. If you have good speed management, where you're not a speed demon, that'll help you also become an advanced driver. Okay, and of course, you cannot be texting and driving or taking your eyes off the road too much. And that includes looking in your rearview mirror. A lot of people look in their rearview mirror way too much. I think they're looking for a cop most of the time because they're already speeding, so they're looking for a cop. But in actuality, you should not look in your rearview mirror as much as you think you should. Every time you look at your speed or look at your rearview mirror, you are taking your eyes off the road. Just relax, buddy. The right lane is ending up ahead, so I went ahead and got in early. Now, the highway department never likes this. If the right lane is ending from construction, they don't want people to get in the left lane early. They want you to do what's called a zipper merge. Okay, I don't know what this guy is doing. He's so impatient. He's debating about turbing around, going down so he can go about 10 cars up. Let's watch this car on the left here, that white vehicle. That's totally breaking the law. You cannot drive all the way down the center lane like that. And of course, we're going. So these cars on the left, going down the center lane on the left, put themselves in a high-risk position, breaking the law, going more than 100 feet down the center lane, and in reality, both of them just saved themselves a few seconds. So not worth it. There's definitely safety issues with driving long distances down the center lane. Technically, you can't drive down the center lane more than 100 feet. Now again, back to this zipper merge here on the right. Back to this zipper merge here on the right. So, the highway department does not want people to get in the left lane early. I usually just get in the left lane early. I don't like the stress of going all the way down to where the lane ends and then relying on the generosity of another driver to let me in. A lot of drivers will not. You can go all the way down to the very end and then have a left signal on and think, okay, somebody's got to let me in, and they don't let you in. And it aggravates you. It might make you kind of shoot in front of another car, kind of cut off another car. And so my opinion is I just get in the left lane early. Now, the reason why they don't want you to is it backs up traffic too far. They don't want traffic to back up any further than it has to because it blocks intersections. The traffic can block intersections. So, I mean, right now, there's probably at least 1,000 feet of cars in back of me already. In fact, they're probably almost already backed up to the intersection in back of me. And by the way, a lot of these people are turning left. Just to give you a heads up, they're going down the center lane, illegally, turning left because those in that Black Eagle Center where we just were, those are public roads. So you can actually turn left, go through that Black Eagle Center, and actually turn left. It's a shortcut to bypass all this traffic, bypass the traffic light, and it's legal. It is legal. Nothing wrong with that. It's not a private road. So now, is that smart? I don't think it is, because what they're doing is instead of doing a left turn at a traffic light up here, they're doing a left turn from a stop sign out of the Black Eagle Center. When you do a left turn from a stop sign, generally